There's been a bit of an outcry, as you would expect from the public, about the race result changing after the podium ceremony and how long it took to get the definition of the disqualification and the confirmation of it. My take is that actually I think the FIA did a pretty good job, and it's got to be incredibly difficult coming out with a definitive decision like that, given the microscopically small things we're talking about and the possibility of damage, other mitigating circumstances. I think the FIA did a pretty good job under Joe Bauer, but I'm just wondering what your feeling is about that. You've got much more on-hand experience with them.
It's a very difficult job. I mean, the bottom line is they didn't want to disqualify those cars. Believe you me, they really, really didn't want to do that. But they've got to deal with 10 cars. They've got a lot of tests to do. There's a limited number of personnel doing it. I think they generally work very hard in that time period to get the results as quickly as possible. But when they find an issue, they have to give the team time to respond and an opportunity to deal with it. And in this particular case, I imagine what they'll have done is they'll have measured so basically in the plank, there are 4 holes which you are allowed to put titanium skids around. The total area of titanium skid is a legal issue. So the teams decide how to allocate the area around each hole, and the FIA come along with a measuring device, and they measure the depth of the hole. So the skids will have a hole in the middle, and they measure around the edges. Now at the front, on the front skids, you only have to be legal in one position around the hole, and the positions are actually defined in the regs as to where they have to be legal. The rear skids are a bit different in that you have to be legal all the way around the hole. So that's it's more difficult. But what they will have done is they'll have found that is a problem. They're measuring basically to the underside of probably the floor that's underneath where the skid is. What they will then do is ask the team to take the plank off the car and take the skids out, and then measure the skids off the car to give an even more accurate measurement. And as I understand it, they actually found that when they did that, the skids were even thinner than when they measured them on the, which I'm not surprised at. We used to find that as well. The measurement on the car was often, shall we say, optimistic compared to the measurement off the car. So I'm not surprised by that. But all this takes time, and you've got to do it right. You've absolutely got to do it right. And so I think it's the nature of the sport. If you don't like the way the sport is, go and watch something else. There used to be a tougher material, but it was decided that sparks were more exciting. So they actually made the skids. They have to be made out of a certain grade of titanium now, which actually means they're a bit softer, so they wear a bit more quickly than the previous ones used to years ago.
So with the previous less sparky ones, McLaren could have been legal at Vegas.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
But not as spectacular.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's an interesting point, though, isn't it? Because we live in a cost-capping world, and titanium, correct me if I'm wrong, it's not cheap, is it?
It's cheaper than the stuff that we used to use.
Really? Really? What was the stuff then before?
I can't remember the name of it now, but it was a more exotic material. Wow. Yeah. So,
but those titanium blocks, or whatever you call them, are replaced every race, obviously, every session probably, are they or not?
We would aim to replace them probably. We ideally we'd replace them. We'd start with new ones, and we'd probably replace them Friday night, and aim not to replace them after P3. If we replace them after P3, that was because we were pushing our luck a bit, and But because of the cost of them, I mean, as I said, they're not an insignificant.
Well, I'd like to know what that cost is approximately. Do we know?
I can't remember. Sorry. Well, yeah, I can't remember offhand. I do apologise.
Let's call it 50 grand.
Yeah, but we didn't have enough stock to replace after every session at every event.
Right.
Was that? And occasionally later in the year, we'd actually start the weekend with maybe something that was not brand new, but still legal to give us scope. But the thing is, you need a certain amount of wear to know that you're in the ballpark. So a skid that has no wear on it after first practice is useless, because that just means you're too high. So again, one of the challenges of setting the car up for first practice is to set it as low as you think you can get away with, but not so low that it's going to upset the driver and send him off the track. So that's another one of those challenges. And for sprint weekends, you tend to set maybe a bit more aggressive in P1 because you want to get somewhere, so you know how much wear you've got, and then sort of back off from it. Whereas a regular weekend, you might start a little bit of wear, and then say, okay, now I'll try and push it a bit harder. So slightly different approach.
I wonder how much one of the actual McLaren titanium skids from Vegas would go for on eBay if ever they put it out there. The skid that lost Lando his P2 and potentially more to come as well. Interesting.
Max might put in a good offer.
Max might put in a good offer, indeed. He might. What did you make of the Kimi Anteneelli jump start?
I think he's very unfortunate. My understanding is that the FIA switched the sensor on at a certain point before the region in which the light can be switched off, because that's supposed to be a bit random within a certain amount of time. And I suspect that he either just had the brake pedal very light in the car, just moved. Maybe when he selected first gear, the car rocked a little bit. But from the onboards, it looked like the car was perfectly still and in position when he did his actual start. But unfortunately, if the car does move in that measured time period, that's it. You've got a jump start regardless. So, it's a lesson for him. Keep your foot planted on that brake pedal until you don't need it to be anymore, basically.
I presume the FIA switch on that device when the last car has pulled to a halt. Is that the trigger for that?
Yeah, it's only.
It wouldn't be while there's any movement on the grid.
No, it's a matter of seconds.
Yeah.
Beforehand, it's not a long period, but it's just a bit unfortunate. Maybe he was very late engaging first, or maybe there's a multitude of things that could cause that to happen. But basically, he just needed to have his foot on the brake a bit harder. Unfortunately, I would suspect it's a real shame because he did such a fantastic job afterwards. But
he did.